My name is David Zanussi. I'm involved in commercial sales of aviation fuels on a global basis. My commercial sales has me traveling the globe. I think the great opportunity when you travel is you can get to compare the infrastructure from rail to roads to bridges. And it's very important for most Americans to realize the investments that are continually be made in each one of these transportation sectors, including aviation. It's very surprising when you can arrive in a country like China to the most modern airports, to get on freeways that use tolling mechanisms. The roads are in great shape, the signage, the safety barriers. There's many techniques out there being employed that you just don't see through a lot of the United States, but it's obvious from my experience. Taxes play an important part in funding this. We in the United States have some of the lowest fuel costs of all the countries I've been to, with the exception of Kuwait, where the cost of transport fuels are much higher than us. And from my perspective, it seems like a fair amount of the tax revenue is being reinvested in the transportation structure. I think the key thing is to take a portion or most of that revenue raised and use it to reinvest in the infrastructure. I've used the high-speed rail in Japan and China and in France all in the last 4 months, and avoiding all the hassles of going out to an airport and the security protocols. And you can go from downtown to downtown. I did that the Paris to London here in the last month, and it was fantastic. But I could have found a lower cost fare, but my time is valuable and the convenience is valuable, and you have internet and it's very easy to be productive, and you get to enjoy the countryside moving along at 200 plus miles an hour. China is making a massive investment in high-speed rail infrastructure. In fact, they now have more high-speed rail mileage than all other countries combined. And they're taking an approach like the Shinkansen, which is a beautiful train, and I'm going to be on that in 2 weeks. But it's fantastic to have that kind of infrastructure to utilize, and it's a great benefit to the societies where they are willing to invest and support it. It's something to be seen, and I recommend people when they're traveling overseas just to be aware of not just rail, but bridges and roads and signage and tolls, because all of this comes at a cost. I think the best people to see how they manage traffic demands is Singapore. If you go to Singapore, they have zones, and they use tolls and they use pricing to raise revenue, to invest in the roads, but also to manage traffic. So there's so many different techniques to be used, but we seem to be stuck in a rut in the United States. It's very important for Americans to get out there and see what else is going on. And in fact, I was on the Washington County website last night looking to see when they're going to repave St. Croix Trail, because it is in such terrible shape and it's causing safety issues for bicyclists and probably drivers too. They're not going to pave it until 2016. So it's obvious they're short funding. I would surely pay more money to fix those roads. And as a society, we should be willing to pay that to get better roads. Our parents did, and they made the infrastructure. We're just wearing it out, and we're letting it get to a state that is beyond reasonable use. And I think that's a wrong policy. I think the transportation and the benefits of a good infrastructure is very key to our economy. It's very key to our safety. It's very key to the environment too. Well, time is money. And anytime the transportation logistics system is bogged down due to traffic, bogged down to poor road use, that slows down the wheels of commerce, and that costs money. So businesses and commerce will tend to locate in places where they can get their goods and services to market or to their plants in a very time-efficient manner. Traffic jams are very, very bad for transportation efficiency in terms of time, in terms of vehicle fuel consumption, and in terms of pollution too. I mean, the output of pollution of idled cars and stop and go traffic is much worse than if everyone was moving along at the speed limits. So there's also environmental benefits to making sure we have roads that manage their capacity problem. The one interesting thing about riding a bike is you become very intimate with roads. I know all the cracks and holes and pitfalls of the roads in Washington County, but sometimes I enjoy riding over into Wisconsin. And to me, it's anecdotal evidence, but many of their rural roads are in superior shape to ours. So it's obvious that they continue to fund their infrastructure, and I believe they have a percentage sales tax, so their tax revenue increases as the price of fuel has gone up. Yeah, no new tax mentality. The analogy could be no new roof. I can just let the roof wear out till the water comes in my house and destroys it. And that's essentially an analogy that I see of no new taxes on fuel to properly maintain our roads. The burden of fixing the roads is clearly placed upon the user. And one of the prime costs for asphalt is petroleum. So as the petroleum prices, crude oil prices are trading around $100, the total revenue stream ends up buying a lot less asphalt. So we should have a tax revenue stream that can fund asphalt procurement or even cement, which has a decent energy component, so that the infrastructure can be replaced. If I was a policymaker, I guess we have to speak some straight talk. You can see the trends in cars becoming more efficient, which means they're going to use less fuel, which means there's less tax revenue, but the cost of building infrastructure doesn't go down with that. I think we have to just let people know that we're going to be increasing fuel taxes by X amount over the next 4 or 5 years so people can plan. It doesn't come to them as a shock, so that the next time they're going to be buying a new vehicle, they will opt for one that gets better gas mileage. And I would not be afraid to have this discussion with the people. This is a great time to see how the United States, in my opinion, is falling behind as we continue to seem to depreciate our infrastructure. To me, it's analogous to not replacing your roof until it leaks. We need to make continuous investments in this to be competitive. The world is making major investments in many of the countries that I travel to, where it becomes very noticeable to see the differences in the infrastructure, in the quality, and in the standards that allow any economy to be competitive.